The sun had long disappeared below the horizon, leaving the small town of Willowbrook in darkness. Its dimly lit streets were silent, save for the distant chirping of crickets. In the heart of the town, an eerie presence loomed, the Willowbrook General Hospital, a decaying relic of a forgotten era. A group of adventurous kids had gathered at the edge of the hospital's imposing gates. Their curiosity had been piqued by the unsettling stories that had circulated about the place for years. They had heard tales of mysterious sounds, strange apparitions, and a dark history that had led to its abandonment. Now, fueled by teenage bravado, they decided it was time to face their fears. Among the group were Jake, the ringleader, whose mischievous grin hid his unease; Emma, the skeptical voice of reason; Max, the daredevil with a heart of steel; and Lily, the group's self-proclaimed expert on the hospital's history, despite the fact that she was as clueless as the rest. A chill ran down their spines as the rusty gates creaked open, and the hospital's towering silhouette engulfed them. Moonlight filtered through broken windows, casting eerie, elongated shadows across the overgrown courtyard. As they ventured further into the decaying structure, the air grew heavy with a musty, long-forgotten scent. The group made their way through shattered hallways and decrepit rooms, their footsteps echoing ominously in the silence. Tattered curtains billowed like restless spirits in the breeze that seeped through the cracks. Each rustling sound and distant scurrying of unseen creatures caused the hairs on the back of their necks to stand on end. Lily's flashlight flickered as they descended a narrow, winding staircase into the hospital's basement. "This is where the real horrors happened," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. She recounted tales of experimental treatments gone awry, of patients left to suffer in the darkness, and of a malevolent doctor who had once walked these very halls. As the group explored deeper into the bowels of the hospital, unease grew, and the chill in the air seemed to seep into their bones. Still, they pressed on, their fascination overcoming their fear. Unbeknownst to them, the hospital held secrets that even their wildest nightmares couldn't conjure. In the dimly lit basement, shadows danced menacingly as the group ventured further into the depths of the abandoned hospital, unaware that the horror they sought was lurking just around the corner, waiting to reveal itself. The basement seemed to stretch on forever, its corridors winding and converging in a maze of decay. The group's flashlights cut through the thick darkness, revealing rusted medical equipment and forgotten files scattered across the floor. Fear tugged at the edges of their determination as they continued deeper into the belly of the forsaken hospital. Lily's voice broke the silence. "This is it, guys. The morgue." Her flashlight's beam revealed a heavy steel door partially ajar, leading into a room shrouded in an unnatural gloom. Max, always eager for the thrill, was the first to push the door open. The hinges squealed in protest, as if warning them to turn back. Inside, metal slabs, once used to hold lifeless bodies, lay in disarray. Rows of rusted cabinets stood like silent sentinels, their contents hidden from view. The air was suffocatingly cold, and each breath felt like inhaling the weight of the past. As they explored the room, the feeling of being watched intensified. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and strange whispers hung in the air, unintelligible yet deeply unsettling. Their flashlights flickered and dimmed, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed to reach out toward them. "Did you hear that?" Emma's voice quivered as she clutched her flashlight tightly. Jake and Max exchanged uneasy glances. "It's just your imagination," Jake said, though his tone couldn't mask the tremor in his voice. But then, the whispers grew louder, a chorus of disembodied voices murmuring incoherent words, overlapping and echoing through the room. Panic welled up inside them as the room darkened further. The flashlights all but gave up, leaving them with only the moonlight filtering through a cracked window. Lily, who had been brimming with misplaced confidence, now appeared more vulnerable than ever. Her voice cracked as she tried to recall the details of the hospital's dark history. "We're not alone," she stammered. Suddenly, a frigid gust of wind rushed through the room, extinguishing their flickering flashlights. In the oppressive darkness, they could hear shuffling footsteps, a chilling, wet sound, as if something was dragging itself closer. Fear took hold of their hearts, and they scrambled to find a way out. But as they turned and made a desperate rush for the door, they found it slammed shut with a bone-chilling force, sealing them inside the morgue. Their breaths quickened, and their hearts pounded as they faced an unknown adversary, lurking in the darkness, ready to reveal its malevolent intentions. Panic surged through the group as the morgue door slammed shut, trapping them inside with an unseen presence. The room grew colder, the oppressive darkness smothering them. They fumbled for their flashlights, but they remained frustratingly powerless, unable to penetrate the shroud of dread that enveloped them. Suddenly, an eerie whisper emerged from the shadows. "Why are you here?" The voice was hollow, a spectral echo that seemed to come from all directions at once. It sent a shiver down their spines as they exchanged terrified glances. Lily, trembling with fear, managed to stammer, We didn't mean to disturb anything. We just wanted to explore." The voice responded, this time closer, as if something unseen was inches from their ears. "Explore. You've awakened something that has waited in the dark for far too long." The children's minds raced with terror. They had never imagined that their curiosity would lead them to such a nightmare. The room seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy as the voice continued. "One of you must stay. One of you must replace what you've disturbed." Their hearts pounded in their chests, and the realization of their dire predicament weighed heavily on them. Max, always the fearless one, shouted, "No way! We're getting out of here!" The voice grew furious, its tone darkening. "Then you have made your choice." With a violent lurch, the room quaked, sending the kids tumbling to the floor. When the trembling ceased, they found themselves alone in the morgue, their flashlights flickering back to life. But Max was nowhere to be seen. He had vanished, leaving only his echoing scream in the air. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she choked back sobs. "We have to find him. We can't just leave Max behind." As they desperately searched the room, they discovered an old, blood-stained journal tucked away in one of the cabinets. The journal detailed the experiments of a deranged doctor who had conducted horrific procedures on the hospital's patients. It spoke of rituals to bind lost souls to the hospital's walls, ensuring they could never leave. The same doctor's voice that had haunted them in the morgue. Now they understood the grim reality that they were not alone. Max was not alone. He was a victim of the malevolent entity that lurked within the hospital's walls, forever bound to the darkness. With heavy hearts, the remaining children fled the morgue, leaving behind the journal, as if hoping to escape the terrible truth they had uncovered. They reached the rusty basement door and pushed it open, gasping for air as they spilled back into the corridor. Their escape was plagued by eerie sounds, whispers, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures that vanished into thin air. They knew the entity was still with them, an ever-present malevolence that would forever haunt their memories. They returned to the moonlit courtyard, their faces etched with grief and fear. They couldn't bring themselves to tell the townsfolk what had transpired, as the truth was far too terrible to bear. Max was lost to the hospital's dark history, forever bound to the malevolent entity that had claimed him. As they made their way back to the town, they couldn't help but glance back at the ominous silhouette of the abandoned hospital, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked within its decaying walls. The memory of that night would forever haunt them, a grim testament to the curiosity that had led to their friend's tragic disappearance, a fate that had sealed him to the hospital's cursed legacy.